Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 149. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Today, we are talking about Super Mario Party Jamboree, Sonic X Shadow Generations, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, The Penguin Show, and more. But as usual, we will begin with our recent activities, which is pretty much anything within media that we've been doing within the past 2 weeks. So I will let Damian go first.
Yeah, so I've been playing a lot of games. It's October, so there's like a shit ton of the games that have been coming out. And I've been playing a lot of Metaphor. So I'll talk a bit about this last podcast. I only played, how long did I play? I think I played like 5 hours or 10 hours at that point. I think I'm like 40 hours in now, and that's about like halfway through the fucking game. So as you can tell, the game is very long, but I'm loving it. Like I said, I think it does a lot to be its own new IP, like a new Atlas IP, while still borrowing a lot of concepts from Persona, but like making them more streamlined. So like I said before, like I think a lot of the calendar days, since the game works on a day system just like Persona does, but the game has a lot more, like, not as much filler as Persona. And I like that filler in Persona, but every day you do it in this game feels like it has some meaningful like content to it. So whenever you hang out with a character, you're gonna rank up their social link. You don't have to like slowly level it up like in Persona or whatever. Like if you do it, you're gonna get like a meaningful like story conversation with that character, which I really like. Like I said before, the game really tells you like what you're gonna get out of a day before you even do it. So it's like, oh, if you do like this dungeon, it's gonna take up your whole day, or if you do this activity, it's gonna level this up. Like the game is very clear of what's gonna happen to you each day, like if you want to do certain activities. And I love that. Like I think I would love to see Persona do the same thing with Persona 6. But I also think it's fine for that game to be a bit harder in terms of social sim stuff, because that game is a lot more focused on that. This game is definitely more leaning towards like more combat and stuff, which it also does very well. I love the job system this game has. You can switch your classes at any time you want. You can make some really interesting builds by leveling up a job and then giving that abilities from that job to another one. So you could do some pretty crazy shit with some of the classes in this game. And it's just really good. The story so far has been a lot of fun. I think the characters have been very enjoyable so far. I know like the main thing with the story, like some people don't like how like I guess like in your faces about it with like racism and stuff. Like it has a lot of like themes about like dealing with that. But I don't know, looking at the world today, I feel like we kind of need more media just being like, yeah, don't be fucking racist. So yeah, I kind of appreciate it being as like bold as it is with that concept. Like it really doesn't shy away from that like at all. So yeah, I do appreciate it doing that with its story. And yeah, right now it's just been fucking great. I'm hoping to probably not next podcast, but probably the podcast after that, I could probably finish it up. I do like want to finish it before Mario and Luigi comes out, but I don't know if I can. So we'll get there. But right now the game has been fantastic. I've been really loving it a lot. The fantasy setting I think has been doing a lot as well. Like I'm so used to Atlas. Like I know they do SMT and stuff, but this team is very much behind Persona 5. So seeing them do their take on like a fantasy game, all these cool fantasy races and like, like magic and ogres and stuff like that stuff is really cool to see in like a setting like this. So yeah, I've been very much enjoying the game a lot, and I can't wait to see more once I play more of it. So next I'm going to be talking about the Sonic Symphony. So I went to Sonic Symphony. I went to Orlando, and it was fucking awesome. So I really, really enjoyed it a lot. People weren't lying when it's like a 2-stage show. Like the first half is very much like, like what you expect from like something like this. You sit down, you listen to the good music, and it's a good time, to play all like the instrumental stuff from like the, original Sonic games. You got some Dreamcast stuff in there too. I really like that. It sounded really good. Just like, I heard the Symphony through the YouTube videos, from when they did that anniversary event a few years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, that was awesome. And it felt the same thing listening to it live. But after the intermission, when they did like, it just became like, all right, everyone stand the fuck up. We're going to fucking
stand up. It's a rock concert.
Yeah. So, and that shit was awesome. It's crazy how much I memorized so many of these songs by heart because I'm a fucking nerd. I'm like, yeah, I know this shit. So, and it was just really great. Like the energy was super high. Say what you want about like gamers, but every time I go to like a gamer centric event, like the energy is always extremely high. Like people are just very like enthusiastic to just fucking be there. Mm-hmm. So it's like very infectious. I'm like, oh, this is really nice. I really like that a lot. And apparently our crowd was like very rowdy. Like they said like they really liked it, but we were very loud. Like whenever something hype happens, like we were not shy to like scream it out or whatever. Maria got shot like 3 times and everyone like cheered to that. But yeah, it was just a great time. It was just really fun. Hearing Live and Learn and just singing it out, I'm like, yeah, that shit was awesome. So definitely a really fun time. If it's in your area, I highly recommend going to it if you're a big Sonic fan, because you wouldn't regret it, and you don't know if this will ever come back, right? So
yeah,
highly recommend it if you could get in there. It was packed too, like it was like fucking full, like everyone was there. And it was funny because the venue I was at, a really nice venue, in like it was like in the middle of Orlando. But they were having like, it was like 2 shows I think going on. It was like the Sonic Symphony, and then there was like some like Romeo and Juliet thing. So you had like the dichotomy of having like sweaty gamers next to like really old fancy people, and it was like the funniest shit ever. Like when we were walking home, it was just like 2 really well dressed old people next to like someone cosplaying as Tails, and it was just very funny. But overall, Sonic Symphony was a very good time. Highly recommend it to. If you guys could go, just go. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, pretty much. If you like Sonic, or even if you just like video game music in general, I can highly recommend going to the Sonic Symphony, just because the energy's there. The music obviously is spot on, fantastic, and just like singing along with other dumbass Sonic nerds is just always a great time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and seeing all the cosplays is always a good time. Always like when you go to these things, you see all these fancy cosplays and shit. I'm like, I can't do that. Like our thing, I think some guy like gave the main guitarist like the Sonic Underground guitar, and he played Live and Learn on that, and it was very funny. Fuck? So yeah, I think you can find Twitter videos on it. It was pretty weird, but awesome too, because they like planned it beforehand. It's like, okay, I got this Sonic Underground fucking guitar. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So now next with some more games. So I played a lot more Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I got like halfway through the story mode. So I think I did Goku, Vegeta's, Gohan's, and Piccolo's. So now I'm up to like Future Trunks, I think. I played quite a bit of it now, and yeah, I really enjoy the game. Like I said before, it really is just Budokai Tenkaichi 4. Everything you remember from those games is exactly how it is in this game. It plays almost exactly the same with some new mechanics, and it feels great. You have all the characters here, except now you have a lot of super characters now, because that obviously wasn't a thing when Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was out. And yeah, like the game looks great, it sounds great, the combat's great. Again, the only issue I really have with it is like just the single player content. Like I do wish the presentation was a lot better. Having it be the slideshow stuff. Like when you actually do the cutscenes, it looks cool. And you can like switch it from like first person to third person for some fucking reason. But it's very funny that you could do that. But most of the time it's told through like the slideshow stuff, or just characters kind of just standing there talking to each other, which is fine. I just kind of wish it went further into it. Like personally, I'm not a fan when Dragon Ball games has the like pick a character and play through their stuff, because some characters just don't do shit. Like Goku's dead for most of the time. So it's cool to like he got a lot of fights during the super stuff, but during like Cell and even Boo, like he doesn't really do a lot till like the end. So like I don't like it when the stories are structured like that. I prefer like Budokai Tenkaichi 3 when you pick like a saga and like you just go and then you just keep switching characters based on that. And honestly, I think if the story structure was like Tenkaichi 3, but with like super content, that would have been great, right? I would love to like have like a Dragon Ball stuff, all the Z stuff, GT, the movies, Super. Yeah. I think that I would prefer that. Again, I'm not looking for like a highly detailed story mode where they're like telling me every single detail. Like we have Kakarot for that, like that's fine. Mm-hmm. I just kind of want more of a wider net on this stuff, because just doing Z stuff and super stuff is just like it gets kind of old after you're on like the 4th character, right? I can only fight like Zamsu so many times before I get bored of it. So, but yeah, either way, like I still think it's a good time. Like, but I do think the content single player wise is a bit lighter than the older games. But overall, I've been really enjoying it. I don't know. What have you think of it?
Yeah, so. I mean, I'm obviously still very early on. I played maybe like an hour or 2 of it before Sonic Generations came out, but. Yeah, I mean, this is a great follow-up to the Budokai Tenkaichi series. Obviously, it's been years since I played those games, so heading back into it, just getting used to the controls. I think I spent like half an hour to 45 minutes just like in the tutorial, just like doing like the button combinations with Gohan and Piccolo. I was just like, okay, yeah, like I need to like actually relearn like how to play this game, and there's no shame in that. But even when I was doing like the single player stuff, because like my first fight with Raditz, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I am just so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
I am just so terrible. And I'm like, once I get to the grade 8 Vegeta fight, I'm going to get my ass kicked if I don't back out now and do the tutorials or whatever. Which even then, like, I know some of the moves, but I still forget, like, what they all are because there's so much depth within the game's combat. It is actually kind of crazy. I don't blame people that have, like, a little, like, spreadsheet or, like, a notepad of, like, what each move combination is because it's, like, there's a lot going on here, especially when you compare it to Budokai Tenkaichi 3 because they add a lot of new mechanics here with, like, sort of countering and using the second meter. I forget exactly what it's called, but, just using all of that stuff is, like, very robust. And getting into the grade 8 Vegeta fight, as someone who has saw pretty much everyone, my coworkers, people online sort of complain and talk about it, I was like, can't be that bad, right? Yeah, it is really fucking tough. And even though I was playing on normal, I was getting my ass kicked on both sides of it. On the what if scenario side where he transforms mid fight, and then the sort of, I guess, like canon main Dragon Ball Z storyline where it happens in a separate fight. Both fights are both equally hard. It took me about 15 to 20 minutes to get both of them done respectively. And the only reason I got them done was because Vegeta just like lost track of me, so he was like, where did he go? And I just like charged up and then just did the super Kamehameha because I was just like, I just cannot get close to this guy and kill him. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. I definitely am excited to get back into it, and just seeing the story structure the way that it is, I think it's fine. I think for what they were trying to go for with the whole what if scenarios, I think it would have been a lot more trickier if they did it like straight, sort of like vanilla, just like Dragon Ball Z story through and then us switching between characters. I would have liked that as well, especially with the super content. But doing it like this, I think is also fine because Dragon Ball fans, all they fucking know is Dragon Ball. So giving them the same story over and over again, they're probably going to complain more than if it wasn't like this, which is understandable. But yeah, I definitely want to go back and potentially even rewatch Dragon Ball Z Kai and then watch Dragon Ball Super actually for once, like fully through. Because I stopped right before the final arc with Jiren. So I don't exactly know what happens there. But I know about, obviously like the Ultra Instinct Goku and all that other stuff. But yeah, very happy with this game. And I can see why a lot of people are loving it. But yeah.
Yeah, I really should probably watch Super. I only watched like the movies.
Yeah.
So I haven't even watched like the Goku Black Arc or the Tournament of Power stuff. So I should probably do that. I did rewatch Battle of the Gods because that movie's fucking awesome. So I did do that, and that movie's still like really good. So I'll probably get to it. There's a lot of stuff coming out.
Yeah.
So I was like, I should watch Dragon Ball Super right now. But I'm like, I have a lot of this shit I need to do right now. But yeah, I'll probably get around to it. But yeah, overall, Sparking Zero, very fun. Yeah, I mean, if you didn't have it and you're a Dragon Ball fan, like, what are you doing? Everyone has it at this point. So, all right, and last, Mario Party Jamboree. So I played a little bit of this. I played a bit of the single player and I played 2 of the boards. So I guess I'll give my opinions on that. So first, the single player. I when I bought it, I didn't even know there was single player. So I'm like,
low key
I guess it's like
low key butt cheeks.
It's pretty fucking not great. So basically, what you do is you go to like the board. So you go to like one of the 5 or whatever boards they have. And you kind of like go into it, but it's like not active yet, I guess. That you kind of just explore it, and you could do like mini games and little side quests and stuff. But it's like it's kind of like whatever. Like most of the time, you're just kind of doing mini games anyway. You might as well play mini game Bay or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's fine. It's whatever. It's like I played a little bit of it. And I'm kind of over this. So,
yes.
Yeah, but you're usually not playing Mario Party for the single player. You're playing it for, the actual party mode and stuff. So, actually, that's a lie. I did play another mode. I did play the Rhythm Kitchen mode. And
that one's also kind of ass.
Yeah. So, like, the motion controls, I feel like don't work half the time, even though I'm, like, hitting the Joy-Con, right?
Yeah.
So, I was, like, doing this, and then, like, nothing would fucking happen. Like, I know my rhythm's kind of ass, but I'm like, it's not that ass. So, but yeah, so that's whatever. I heard the other modes are also, like, kind of just okay. Like, that they're just there, I guess. But, we're mostly there for the actual Mario Party mode. Yeah. So I did 2 boards. I did the car one and I did Goomba Lagoon. So the car one was pretty unique. You're obviously in a car and the star only spawns in 2 locations. I think it's either in the upper path or in the lower path, and then it switches around. And if you go past go, you could get more coins, or you could go in the upper path before you hit the the sort of like the go around, and then you can get a bunch of dice and stuff. So it's kind of like this cool. It's got some cool mechanics going on. The things could there's like bumpers on the side that could like either like bring you forward or bring you back and shit, but you like missed the shop or whatever. So again, there's some pretty cool mechanics in that map. You could use turbo dice, so you could go really fucking fast, but you like kind of like can't interact with anything, but you can try to get to the star faster. So that was pretty good. I thought the board design for that was pretty good. And then Goomba Lagoon it's kind of like oh my god, there was another map that worked like this where like the water came up, I believe, but I forget what Mario Party that was in. It wasn't like Mario Party. No, Mario Party 2 had the one where it's like, yeah, pay the thwomp to get to the other part of the island. It's kind of like that, except like the water raises. That was good. You know, water raises, you can't go to certain locations and you're kind of like stuck in like an island for a bit until it goes down. Or you could fuck people over with the conch shell thing and then like, fuck everyone over. So that's pretty neat. I thought it was a pretty good map. And if you're stuck on the upper side of the map, you can activate the volcano to get a bunch of golden Goombas and you just make bank off that part. So out of the two maps I played, they seemed like pretty well designed, mostly because like I don't think there's been a Mario Party game recently besides the one before Superstars. I'm forgetting. Super Mario Party. Super Mario Party had original boards too, but those are pretty like like they were fine. These are like the first time they made new boards that actually felt like good in a while, because Superstars were all reused boards, and I love that game. Superstars is amazing, but it's nice to play a Mario Party game where like, oh, these are like actually new boards, and like they're good. Like I thought they were pretty good. And what else I had to say? The mini games, I thought all the mini games have been pretty good so far. I do feel like there's not as many of them as I would like. Like I feel like I played only 2 games, and I felt like I was really getting like a lot of repeats.
Yes.
And I read that there's a lot of mini games in this game, but they're all separated to different modes. So like the Koopathlon has its own mini games, and the Bowser thingy has its own mini games. The rhythm stuff has its own mini games. So I think when you play the actual Mario Party mode, it's only like 50 something mini games, which is like really low. So like I felt like I was seeing a lot of repeats already, and I was only like 2 boards in, right? So that's a little disappointing, but they have been pretty high quality. Like I did like the mini games. The only one I didn't like was it was a 4-player mini game where you had to like kind of like make a bridge of like blocks, but if someone picks the same thing as you, it like cancels out or whatever.
Bro, okay. I was fucking terrible at that one. I was straight up ass. I was so terrible. So it came up twice during our play sessions. And every single time I picked one of those, someone else picked it. And I'm like, yo, you guys are like fucking me over, but at the same time, I'm just terrible. So that was like one of my most hated mini games just because I was terrible at it, but I could see the appeal of it because it's like, like a social sort of deduction game where it's like, I'm gonna go for this one or I'm not gonna go for this one kind of thing. But
but yeah, that's basically what my experience is. You played a lot more of it, so you could
I mean, going into Super Mario Party Jamboree, a lot of people were sort of hailing this as like the best Mario Party game yet, which is understandable because, this is the last one on the Switch that we're getting out of the 3. And, with Mario Party Superstars being so good as it was, it did just reuse everything from the past games, which is really not that hard to, sort of mess up there. And then Super Mario Party was definitely like a nice step in the right direction. It's just every single board was just a straight line, just like sort of fancied out in a way. And this game, the boards are great. I think that every single board offers something different. I think my favorite one definitely has to be the sort of Speedway, Roll'em Raceway, sort of like the Mario Kart one. That one's definitely the most unique because, you can zip past the goddamn star if you use the 4 dice block, and every single time you go past the I guess like goal post, you get 10 coins, and you can do that for as many times as you want. And we played enough to unlock Western Land, which there are also 2 more boards after that, Mario's Rainbow Castle and King Bowser's Keep, and you unlock those through like the battle pass thing. So I don't know how I don't know how far those 2 boards are, but Western Land we unlocked like after I think level 20 or something like that. I forget exactly.
Oh, damn. Okay.
But yeah, it wasn't that hard to get it. And Western Land is pretty much the same board as it was within Mario Party 2. But yeah, I mean, it is like a pretty solid Mario Party game, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it's the best. For one, I feel like the games last a lot longer than before just because there's a lot of shit going on in between in between the mini games. Like, for example, if a Jamboree buddy shows up and someone sort of activates it, a whole mini game happens, and that mini game in particular is like pretty goddamn long.
Yeah, it's like 3 mini games in one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a pretty good mini game at that, but it just extends the playtime of every single sort of game longer. Like, I feel like 20 turns is like the standard for Mario Party, but those games would last like 2 hours. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I feel like Mario Party games 20 turns would last like maybe an hour 30 or something like that. So, an extra 30 minutes may not be that much, but when I'm like recording and I notice that like the goddamn playtime is that long, I'm like, okay, like what is happening here? And speaking of the sort of like Jamboree system, sort of having that be like, I guess like the gimmick for this game with like the buddies or whatever, I think it's neat. I think it's definitely a lot better than how it was within Super Mario Party, where you would just, whoever first got there just bought them, and then they would have like, sort of like their die or whatever, which like sometimes would be good, sometimes would be bad. And this time the Jamboree buddy only lasts like, I think 2 or 3 turns or something like that. My least favorite part about the Jamboree buddy is the fact that anyone who just walked past you could steal it. And I'm like, we played like this whole mini game for like 10 minutes and you could just walk past me and steal the goddamn buddy. I think that that's like a little too easy. I know that, this is just like their way to like balance it out, but also just like make it so, it's just like part of like the Mario Party fun, just like have like these stupid weird rules that where, you could like screw people over, because I definitely just walked past a Jamboree buddy and I was able to buy 2 stars off of it. And I was like, all right, sure, whatever, kind of thing. But yeah, what do you think about the sort of that gimmick, if you will?
Yeah, I do think this is better than what they did with Super Mario Party. Like, I wasn't really a big fan of like the ally system, or whatever the fuck it was called in that game. Mm-hmm. In this game, yes, I do agree. Like, it just takes too long to get one, because you gotta do this long ass mini game, then you get it. But there's a good chance that you just lose it because someone walks into you. Like, I do feel like maybe if you walk past someone with a Jamboree buddy, maybe you could pay coins to like steal it off of them or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would say do a duo mini game, but that would take way too fucking long too. So yeah, that'd just be too long. So I would suggest maybe like if you walk past it, like someone with Jamboree buddy, maybe like, pay like 10, 20 coins and then you could like steal them or something. I feel like it'd just be more fair because, that person worked so hard to get it and then you just lose it because you walk into them, right? So I just feel like it's way too easy to, or make it so Boo could steal them or something. I don't know, like maybe one of those two. But yeah, I do think the Jamboree buddies are pretty cool. Like some of them seem better than others. Like I know Peaches was pretty good because like you get like half off the star, so you get like 2 stars for 20. That's pretty good. Some of them are just good movement options. Like some of them are good for money. So I think the way to balance them is a lot better than how Super Mario Party did it. I just wish it wasn't so easy to steal it. And yes, I do agree the games do last like way longer than usual, because we usually play with 20 turns. But and usually the game says like, I think every Mario Party says like, 20 turns is like 2 hours, even though that's never the case. Yeah. This game is like, is it actually going to take that long? I'm like, yeah. So I think the boards just have a lot more stuff going on. And again, there's just a lot more mini games happening. So I think that's why it takes so fucking long. But yeah, I do agree like the games felt a lot longer than usual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even when we chopped it down to like 15 turns, I felt like that was not enough time for like everyone to like get like their stuff together, because around like turn like 10, like people are starting to get like, I guess, like their flow within the game itself. And like Mario Party, it's still Mario Party. We did also try Western Lane with pro rules, which is pretty much
Final Destination items,
kind of just like making it so it's more skill based. They take a lot of like the randomness out of it. So like, for example, before you start the game, you get to choose one item. So everyone starts with one item. And then I think some other things happen, like, when a minigame is picked, instead of like scrolling through it, everyone votes between, I think, like 4 of them or whatever. Yeah. So, and then it just goes through that pool and then it picks whoever picked those minigames or whatever. So yeah, it just takes like a lot of the randomness out. And, honestly, like it's cool. It's neat. Me personally, when I play Mario Party, I'm trying to fuck people over. I'm trying to, like have that sort of chaotic fun within the game. And, the pro rules, I think that could be something fun to like do every like once in a while, but I don't think that will ever replace the main Mario Party rules. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I think the fun part about Mario Party is fucking people over. And like, just because like you're first place, like you could lose all those things in a chance time, or you could like fuck someone over so hard. So like I think that's what makes Mario Party fun. Like, yeah, it's frustrating, but it's also like it could happen to literally anyone. So it's like that's what makes it like fun to me. So again, it sucks when it happens to you, but that person can happen like the next game. So that's Mario Party, right? So I'm glad they added pro rules for people that want to play the games like a bit more competitively, like like a more traditional board game type thing. But for me personally, I also agree. I do like just the chaos of Mario Party. So
yeah. Is there anything else I need to talk? Oh yeah, so like I guess like the repeat of like mini games or whatever. That's what makes me feel like I can't necessarily say that this is like the best Mario Party game, and also just like the other modes, like story mode. Story mode's complete ass. Like I played the Goomba board, and then I was like, okay, I'm not playing anymore because I'm like, this was just like mind-boggling, just like nothing really doing it for me here. Just like literally like a baby game, if you know what I'm saying. Like
I get you. Yeah,
it's literally just like me going on autopilot, doing these mini games, just wrecking these CPUs, and then just moving on. And then the rhythm game mode was also just like, what is happening here? Like I get it, like motion controls are part of like the Switch, but also when you have it within like this mini game setting, I'm like, this is not fun and not cool. But yeah, and also just like repeating mini games over and over and over again, because that happened a lot when we were playing across, I think, the 4 boards that we played. It just kept happening, and I was like, why are these mini games repeating so often, especially when I think it's close to like 100, which now that we know, it sort of combines all of the mini games with like the Jamboree mini games, the rhythm mini games, all that stuff. So, I wish that there were more mini games or a way within, I guess, like the code to like realize that like they haven't played this mini game yet, so we'll increase the chance of them getting that or whatever. But yeah, is it the best Mario Party game ever? No, not necessarily. Definitely not the best one on the Switch. I think Mario Party Superstars is very hard to beat within that regard. But this is definitely, a better step in the right direction than what Super Mario Party did. I think that if they were to, expand upon this game, and sort of bring it to Switch 2 or whatever, just add more mini games. I think that that's all they really need to do, is to just add more mini games, add more variety within that department, because obviously that is like one of the best parts about Mario Party is the mini games.
Yeah, I agree. Like I do think this game is a step in the right direction. Like I think the new original boards are really good, and I think that's really valuable because we've been reusing so many boards lately, so it's nice to have like actually good new ones. But yeah, the lack of mini games for like the actual Mario Party mode does feel very like weird. Like they boast like, oh, this is the most mini games in any Mario Party game ever, but again, it's combining them from all the other modes. So and a lot of the other modes are very half baked. Like I haven't done Koompathlon or the Imposter Bowser thing yet, but I don't expect them to be much better than the other side modes. So it really is just Mario Party at the end of the day. So I appreciate that they did put that in there. But I think I would have preferred that development time to be making more mini games, right? Like I think I would prefer them to just make more mini games for the main Mario Party mode. Like I feel like 100 mini games should be the standard for like just Mario Party, right? Yeah. Like just for the Mario Party mode, not like across all of the modes, right? So, but either way, I think the game's still really good. I think Superstars is a bit better at the moment, but I don't really regret buying it. I think it's still a fun time. So yeah.
Still a great game. One last thing I want to talk about is how to unlock Pauline and Ninja. When Kofi found out about this, I was like, are you goddamn serious? So, So
like find them, right? Or something.
Yes,
like,
it is. Yeah. It is so stupid in terms of how you unlock them. So when you start the game up, first up, this is like the largest roster for any Mario Party game, which I think is great. That is fantastic. That's like a huge plus for me personally. Because, seeing like a bunch of these different, like Bowser minions in the game, fucking Monty Mole has become like a fan character within our play sessions. But I instantly noticed, okay, so that's Pauline and that's like the little ninja character. But I'm like, how do we unlock them? But I didn't look it up. So then when Kofi came over, he was like, how do we unlock them? So then he looked up, he was like, bro, you got to be kidding me. And pretty much you just go into the Mario Party air balloon, and then you look around the map with the right analog stick, and then you just zoom in on them and then take a photo. That's pretty much it. And it's like, why weren't they just unlocked from the start then? Like, why are we going out of our way to do this? I felt like that was very unnecessary. I think if they were like in like the battle pass, I think that would have been better.
Yeah, that would have been fine, yeah.
But the fact that you could just unlock both of them just by looking around and then taking a photo, I'm like, this is like pointless.
Yeah, that is very weird. If it were unlockable through the battle pass, I would have been like, okay. 'Cause I saw someone on Twitter playing with Pauline. I'm like, how you get Pauline? And I'm like, oh, that's how you do it? That's fucking dumb. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's whatever. Very weird. I really do hope this game gets like post content, like, afterward. It probably won't because they're so against doing that from Mario Party because they'd rather make a new one, I guess.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if they added like new characters or new mini games and stuff because I think this game would benefit a lot from that. But we'll see what the future holds. The game is good though. If you want a new Mario Party game, this would definitely, serve that appetite. So, but again, I think me and Travis both prefer Superstars just a bit, but game's still good. So I'm happy Mario Party isn't like absolute garbage anymore. So that's good at least.
Yeah. All right, so now let's get into some of the other stuff I've been doing recently. First up, we tried SUPERVIVE with the four of us, me, my girlfriend, Kofi, and Louie. Because this was part of the Steam Fest week or whatever the hell was going on.
Yeah.
So obviously,
Next Fest, I think, right?
Yeah. And obviously, as a big League of Legends guy and seeing that a lot of people from Riot moved on to make this studio and make this game, now it's like a MOBA battle royale kind of thing. I'm like, okay, like what the hell is going on here? A bunch of League streamers were sort of partnered to also check it out. And, I saw clips of Tyler one, raging or whatever. So I was like, all right, let me go and try it out. I think we played like 5 games or whatever, so it wasn't even that much. Within like the first couple of games, we instantly got our ass kicked because we had no idea what the fuck we were doing. But yeah, I mean, if you played League of Legends before, it's pretty much that within like a battle royale setting. It's on like this big open map. There's obviously like land points or whatever. I think it does mix the genres up pretty well. I'm not sure if this is going to be like the next big game that'll take over sort of like the ecosystem of like streaming and sort of online gaming in general. But yeah, it definitely has like a very clear direction and sort of clear gameplay style that is very unique that you will not find anywhere else. And I think that is great. That is fantastic. I will definitely be trying it out once it like fully releases or sort of goes into beta or whatever, because I definitely want to play it more. I definitely should have when it was on the sort of Steam Next Fest week or whatever. But yeah, very, very good. If you liked League of Legends at all at some point within your life, you might want to try this one out because I think that this is like a very cool direction that it's going in.
Okay.
And then I watched 2 movies. We Live in Time with Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. This is definitely one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and I was already going to give it 5 stars going into it. And, when it's sort of played and sort of how it all ended, it is just a beautiful movie. I think that these 2 actors are just fantastic. And when you put them in a film together, they just radiate off of each other so goddamn well. It is obviously about a movie about like time and sort of what that means for this marriage, this couple, what it means to them personally. Because Florence Pugh's character, at some point within the film, she is diagnosed with cancer, and that sort of also helped with Andrew Garfield, as a person to sort of get over the unfortunate passing of his mother. So, there's like a lot of stuff going on here. Obviously, there was some other press stuff going on that, people were going crazy over. But yeah, We Live in Time. It is definitely a fantastic movie. If you like, sort of depressing romance movies, it's definitely one of them. But yeah, and the film just does a great job sort of pacing it as well. It doesn't necessarily go from point A to point B. You notice it instantly where it sort of just starts like somewhere during their marriage and then it jumps back and forth. So this is definitely a movie that you have to like fucking pay attention and like lock in and sort of get context clues of like where the fuck are we within like time, if you will. But yeah, I definitely want to watch it again just to feel something, if you know what I'm saying. But anyways. Next movie, I saw Venom 3 last night. Venom: The Last Dance. So this is the final Tom Hardy Venom movie. The fact that we got three solo Venom movies is goddamn crazy.
It is crazy, yeah.
But here we are. We are now at the final movie, and honestly, it was a lot worse than I expected, and not by much. Okay. Not by much. Because obviously, like when you go into these films, you're not expecting like anything great or anything fantastic, right? So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go into this film. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be goofy. But the thing that really drags this film down is the fact that there's like a B plot. There's a side plot involving like the government and sort of them like sort of researching on like the symbiotes and sort of like these side characters or whatever. I don't fucking remember remember any of their goddamn names. I don't care who they are or what they're doing, because they spend a lot of time on them sort of developing what their story is and how they're involved with sort of tracking down Eddie and tracking down Venom. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I get it. I get why they're here. But do I care? No, because, you know, as soon as we cut away from Eddie and Venom to them, I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, let's just get it over with, because I could instantly see what they were trying to do here, but it just was not working for me. And I think that a lot of people will agree with that. But, you know, it is like a pretty good ending to like this trilogy of films kind of thing. It is very weird to think that when the first Venom movie came out in 2018, Null was a character that was created within the Marvel Comics. And now we're here at Venom 3, and now he's in a live action Venom movie. That is absolutely crazy, still bonkers to me just to think about that, because it's like, okay, yeah, like this is still like such a new Marvel character, and they're very much willing to put him within a live action Venom movie. I'm like, okay, fine, like if we're gonna do this as like the final Venom movie, sure, screw it, why not? And the reason why Null is after Venom is because he has a codex which pretty much will allow Null to be free and sort of put destruction on the world or whatever. So, you know, he has like his army sort of going after them or whatever. So yeah, you know, it's a fun time. I think that if you go in with those expectations of like, yeah, this is like another Venom movie, you'll have fun with it. But, you know, obviously don't expect anything crazy or too fantastical or whatever. Surprisingly enough, I still think Venom 2 might be the better out of the three movies. Weirdly enough, because like Venom 2 is very, very weird. You know, it does have Carnage in it, but the pacing of it is like all over the goddamn place, and like some of it doesn't make sense or whatever, but like it knows what it is at that point, and it really does stick to it. Obviously Venom 3 is that same thing, but because the side characters get in the way, I really can't rate it as highly as like the sequel or I guess the second film. But yeah, Venom The Last Dance, hopefully this is the last of sort of Tom Hardy's Venom, not sort of knocking his performance or sort of how he portrays the character, but, you know, I just cannot, you know, stand to sit down and watch another Venom movie.
Well, good thing he's done, because I feel like all the interviews he's been doing is just like, yeah, I'm fucking done. That's it. No more. We're done with Venom.
I mean,
so
I think he said he wouldn't mind coming back, but, you know, at the same time, it's like, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing Tom Hardy do something else within, I guess, like a Marvel movie or something like that, you know, because he is such a great actor. You know, he's gotten other roles in between making these Venom movies, and I'm sure that these films are just here to pay his bills and sort of just have a good time on screen, because, you know, it does look like that he does have a lot of fun when he does do these films. All right, so let's talk about Sonic X Shadow Generations, because this is obviously probably our most one of our most anticipated games of the year. I know, you know, you talking about metaphor on and off is obviously up there, but, you know,
yeah,
for me personally, Sonic X Shadow Generations is definitely like a game that I was looking forward to the most, just because, you know, I'm a fucking Sonic guy. But before we talk about Shadow Generations, let's talk about Sonic Generations first, because, you know, we played a little bit of it. I think me and Damian got around to the same point. We played the first three.
I think we're at the same exact point in that game. So, yeah.
We played like the first three stages pretty much about where, you know, it was pretty much Green Hill, Chemical Planet, then Sky Sanctuary. So, you know, we didn't play a lot, but we just wanted to get our feet wet and sort of see if Sonic Generations is not like a broken, buggy piece of mess like Sonic Colors Ultimate was. And luckily it wasn't. You know, like they actually took their time to make sure that, yeah, you know, like this game still functions and still plays the same as I remember it back in 2011 or whatever. You know, just still plays the same, looks great, looks fantastic. They even added like Chow that you could find within every single level, which I think is pretty neat. So yeah, you know, so far so good. I definitely did get some frame drops during the Metal Sonic fight, but, you know, it's whatever. You know, I'm not gonna sort of knock it too much there, but yeah, that did happen is what I want to say.
Yeah, the game has been mostly smooth. Yeah, like you said, I think some frame drops happen sometimes, but it's not like often enough to be like a big thing. It's mostly like when a big set piece happens, it does it for a second, then goes back. So for the most part, for me, it's been a smooth 60 FPS, because I don't know why the game defaulted to 30 FPS for a Sonic game. I'm like, what the fuck? So I put 60 frames. But yeah, right now, Generations plays exactly how Generation is, which is probably a good sign for people that played Colors Ultimate, because, you know, Colors Ultimate tried to do some stuff to improve the experience, but, you know, ended up really, I guess, undermine Sonic Colors in general. Like, you know, the game had this like radioactive lighting to it. Obviously, it was very buggy. The new additions felt very tacked on, like the new Wisp power was very tacked on. Again, like you could say the same thing about the Chow, but they're just like new collectibles, so it's whatever. Like you just collect the Chow and that's it. It does exactly what it is. It's just Sonic Generations on modern consoles. It looks pretty good, and that's about it. Honestly, the biggest thing about Sonic Generations that has changed is the story rewrites, which are whatever. Like some people are very aggressive against it because they fucking just hate Ian Flynn and all he stands for now, which I really don't know why. I'm just like I really don't get it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I do feel like. I don't mind the story rewrites. Like, it doesn't really matter because Sonic Generations didn't have a story to begin with. It's just like, oh, the Time Eater is eating shit, and then like that's about it. Like, I didn't really care. But I do feel like the story rewrites in this do feel a bit unnecessary. Like, it kind of just feels like, why? Like, I think if they added new cutscenes, which I don't know if they do, but if they did add in new cutscenes, I think that would have been fine. Like maybe they explain more about what the Time Eater is. I forgot if they even explained the original. I legit cannot remember.
Yeah.
But if they went over more about stuff like that and it was more cutscenes, that would be fine. But it just feels like they're just rewriting it because like why not? And it feels kind of awkward because like some of the cutscenes feel like they were not written for that like specific line of dialogue. Like it's just like oh they're just saying stuff, right? Discord scared the shit out of me. I got like a notification for like a spooky noise. But yeah, anyway. Sorry.
No,
anyway,
you're good.
So yeah, anyway, Sonic Generations, I feel like the story rewrites do feel pretty unnecessary. Like, it just feels like it's whatever. Again, I don't hate them. Like, I'm not hating them. I think them connecting, like, I saw people getting mad at, like, oh, they mentioned, like, what was it? The Time Rubies or whatever the fuck it's called I forgot what they're called in CD. But they, like, name dropped it. But I'm like, who cares? Like, I feel like people get, like, way too antsy about, like, the fucking references. Especially when this is an anniversary game to begin with. If, like, there's any game that's going to have, like, references, it's going to be Sonic Generations, right? So,
yeah.
I don't know. For me, I feel like the story rewrites are totally fine. I feel like they are a bit unnecessary, but it's like, it's whatever. Like, I do like they treated some characters a bit better. Like, Amy is not as, like, she's not sidelined or whatever. Like, some people got mad at that because whatever reasons. But for the most part, I thought it was fine. I don't know. What do you think about it? For me, it's not that big of a deal. So
yeah, I mean, the rewrites are not that big of a deal. I definitely, saw them and it was like, oh, okay. Like, I guess, they didn't like Knuckles making fun of Sonic being fat or whatever. And they were like, oh, let's be a little bit more sensitive to people who are a bigger shape and like rewrite it or whatever. That's how I thought about it. But, even then, just like rewriting it for the sake of rewriting it because why not? It's whatever. I'm not like that big of a stickler for like changes like that, because it's very small. It's very minimal. It's not killing anyone. It's not necessarily harming anyone. If you want to play Sonic Generation with those original sort of, lines or whatever, you still have it on the Xbox 360, PS3. And if you own it on Steam, you can still play it like that. So yeah, not that big of a deal. It's Sonic Generations. You really can't go wrong with this game. It is super non-offensive. It still is considered one of the best Sonic games ever just because the gameplay is very, very tight. You got the boost gameplay, you got the 2D Sonic section, so then that's it. Pretty fun.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does everything it does well. Level design is still amazing. Both 3D and 2D Sonic games, gameplay styles play really well. And yeah, that's really all you need. Like, it's still, for me, it's still one of my favorite 3D Sonic games, out there. Like, it's just very solid. Until this new one, which I guess we can talk about. For
yes,
yeah. Let's talk about Shadow Generations.
We are going to talk about spoilers, by the way. So if you want to avoid story spoilers, you can click off now and then come back later.
So Shadow Generations is fucking great. I really like it. I think it really mixes the two styles. I guess now the new styles of like 3D boost gameplay and the open world segments of Frontiers, and it does that really well with this game. And of course, we got other stuff we could talk about too. But I don't know. What would you like to talk about first with Shadow Generations?
I guess we'll talk about the story first because obviously you were alluding to earlier about like why do people hate Ian Flynn? Which I don't 100% know why. I know that there are certain things that he might have done in the past that might have seemed a little weird. Like I know that he was very aggressive in terms of getting a job with Archie Comics or whatever. I know that he was sort of going up to them as like I would like a job to write Sonic comics, and I guess like that sort of approach was like something that people didn't really like about it or whatever. But like I said, I don't 100% know why people hate him. I would definitely love to make a video on that and sort of do the research as to why people don't like Ian Flynn. But Ian Flynn is the person responsible for this game's story, and he does a phenomenal fucking job. I mean, I have never felt this emotional about a Sonic story ever. You know, just seeing Shadow interact with Maria and Gerald again, it was just like, okay, yeah, like we know these characters, we know what they mean to Shadow's past, but him actually interacting with them, having like meaningful conversations with them where he's like, I want to keep your promise, Maria, to give everyone a chance to be happy. I was like, holy fucking shit, why am I getting emotional over this? And then when they start disappearing, I'm like, God damn it. Like, what is going on here? You know, like Ian Flynn knows these characters very well. And that's a reason why he is writing for the Sonic games now, not just like the sort of art or the, with just the IDW comics, you know, and he does a fantastic job in those too. So obviously, you know, he has a reputation of writing good Sonic stories. So now that he's done it within Sonic Frontiers and now he's done it here with Shadow Generations, they're like, yeah, okay, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. And you know, I just really love what this game story presents, not just for like Sonic fans, but also just like a good story in general.
Yeah, I agree. Like by the end game of the of Shadow Generations, I was legit like, I felt the same way as you do. Like, why am I getting like emotional over this? But I legit feel like they did a great job with, you know, kind of connecting everything with Shadow. You know, they didn't really shy away from anything, you know, like especially the Maria and Gerald stuff. Like I think they did a great job with their relationship with this game. Like obviously I wish it was a bit more, but you know, the game's only like 5-ish hours. Like, you know, you can only expect so much. So I think with the time slot they have, like they really nailed, I think, their relationship and like started Shadow moving on as a character, you know, from them and stuff, while still having like that emotional connection, you know what I'm saying? So, especially like those last few cutscenes where like Shadow like smiled to Maria and shit. I'm like, bro, this is great. Like, so, and also just finally dealing with, you know, like Black Doom and stuff. Like, you know, I thought that stuff was like, you know, was really good as well. Like, you know, I feel like they finally like really like moved on from Shadow's past because, you know, they dealt with all this in the past, but you know, it's been so many years since we dealt with any of this stuff since the early 2000s. So it's cool to like get like a nice bookend on all this stuff. So maybe Shadow could start appearing in like newer games that's like, you know, with new story arcs and shit, right? So I think this game did a great job with that Generations format of like the white space being like this weird purgatory type deal with seeing all these people, like, you know, because, you know, obviously with Sonic stuff is a lot more lighthearted. So dealing with this in a more darker manner was like really cool to see. And, you know, seeing things like, you know, Omega was cool to see, you know, Rouge being there too. Fucking Big for some reason. I don't know why Big was there. But, you know, Orba and Kivot, that was cool too. So, you know, seeing all these characters was really neat. And obviously the game just like, you know, all the cutscenes, like that's something I wasn't even praised about the story. Like the cutscenes were fantastic in this game. Like I think this is some of the most well animated Sonic cutscenes I've seen since like probably Unleash, I guess. Because you know, I love Frontier. Like I'm not a Frontiers hater at all. I don't think any of us are. Yeah. Like, I really do like Frontiers. But the cutscenes were very stiff in that game. Like, you know, a lot of time they were just like, some of them look pretty good, but a lot of time they look very stiff when they were just talking to each other. I feel like every cutscene in this game had so much like fucking sauce to them. Like they look so good, bro. Like they were so well animated. And yeah, that goes for most of the emotional scenes and like more of the action-y scenes. So yeah, I think they really nailed it with the story here from the, you know, from the small runtime they had. I think they really nailed what they were doing with the story here. So yeah.
Yeah. The production quality was just A1. It was absolutely insane that they sort of took the time to make sure that the game looks as good as it is, not just graphically, but just like you said, the animations, like the subtleties within Shadow's movement, within gameplay is like something that fans immediately noticed when gameplay was being shown. It was like, okay, yeah, like why is Shadow moving like this? Why is he skating the way that he is? Like this is not something that we would have seen maybe 5 years ago if they were to do a Shadow Generations. I think that they just really cared about this product and really wanted to show that like, yeah, like Sonic Team can actually make like a really solid like AAA Sonic game, and really they did show it here, and I'm very happy about that. And also just them like being able to connect the story to Sonic Generations, you know, subtly, you know, sort of having that fight between Sonic and Shadow. Even though we don't get to play it, I think that is very understandable as to why we don't get to play, just to like get the game moving and sort of explain how Shadow is still, you know, able to have the Chaos Emerald, because, you know, they set that up within the beginning with the sort of 2 emeralds, the fake one or whatever. So yeah.
Call back to Sonic Adventure 2. that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, the presentation in this game was just like amazing. Like from the UI to like just how the game is presented. Like, I feel like I haven't played a Sonic game this polished since Generations. Ironically enough, like the game just feels very well put together. And again, I really like Frontiers, but like that game does feel like it's being held by duct tape sometimes.
Yes,
so
there's
it's cool to see, like,
no pop in within the white space. Like when you're moving around, like I didn't notice that at first, but after I finished, I was like, wait a second. When we were running around the white space, just zooming around, there was no pop in whatsoever. I'm like, okay, yeah, like this is how it should be. Obviously, like the white space is a much smaller zone compared to the maps within Sonic Frontiers, which is understandable. But at the same time, it's like, okay, yeah, like Sonic Team, you don't need to make these big open, maps for Sonic. You could have it sort of similar size like this and just have Sonic run around each world and then just zoom into the next one to add more levels, add more challenges, etc., etc. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like, it really makes me wonder what they're going to do for Frontiers 2 or whatever the next game is going to be called. Like, I do wonder if they're going to double down on the open world structure or, like, still have it the same way where it's like you have the open zone plus the boost stages. Because, I feel like a lot of people were tired of the boost formula, but I feel like this game really showed, like, the boost formula still has, like, a lot of legs to it. Because I do want to talk about the level design now, because the levels in this game are fucking great. Like, They were, like, this is such a far cry from, like, things like the cyberspace levels or the levels from Forces where they were like 30 seconds long and they were just like, okay, like the cyberspace levels, some of them were pretty good, but for this game I'm like, damn, these levels are great. Like they have a lot of awesome set pieces to them. They're not like 2 seconds long. A lot of them are like pretty long. They're like 5-ish minutes of like a lot of meaty content there. There's a lot of multiple pathways to do. Shadow could do a lot of interesting stuff to spice it up. He has chaos control, just like he can just do it whenever he wants. You have all the different Doom powers as well that could shake up the gameplay a bit. The levels in this game just felt super good and like super like a lot of thought was put into them. I don't think I played a boost game that had this good level design again since Generations. I think Generations was probably the last best game that had like amazing boost levels to them, and this game nailed it. Like I think even the 2D levels with Act 2, I thought those were great as well. Like they were still they're still doing the structure of like one act is full 3D and the other act is just 2D. But I think those 2D levels felt a lot more dynamic in this game. Like there was a lot more cool angles they were doing. Like it just felt more alive to me than a lot of like the strictly 2D modern stuff that we get sometimes. I was just like in love with the level design. It was just super good this time around. They utilized everything Shadow could do. They were just some of my favorite levels in like modern Sonic like history, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the level design is just straight peak. When I played that first level and I got an A rank, I was like, I'm fucking redoing it right now, because like that was such a fun level to do. Like even though it was like 5-6 minutes long, it was like it felt like everything in it was like needed and necessary. And I'm sure that a lot of Sonic fans, as they were playing that level, they were like, holy shit, it's still going, because we're so used to like these levels now being like 2-3 minutes long, even like a minute long or whatever, so yeah, the fact that they were able to get these levels to be the length that they are, but also have them just be so diverse within the multiple pathways, the challenge levels, especially. Like I love those challenge levels because it makes you think about every single level differently on top of the new level design that it presents to you. Like for example, you have to destroy these enemies or whatever, like just get that done before the stage ends. So I'm going to focus on doing that, and then once I do that, I can just zip to the end to get my S rank or whatever. And you don't have to worry about ring count or anything like that. You just have to get these objectives done before the time runs out to get that S rank. And like that is so much fun. Like I think that them doing it like that, instead of just like straight up just doing like 2 acts and then a boss and 2 acts and a boss, having these challenge levels in between before that boss fight really lets you sink in like what each level is and sort of what gimmicks that they could provide for them.
Yeah, I really like it when they specifically use use chaos control in a really cool way, because there's a lot of really cool ways that chaos control was used in this game. Same thing with like the Doom powers. Even though one of them is a little janky to use, I still find like a lot of those levels are really cool too, because I use this Doom power in like the this really cool way that we're going to present to you. And then of course you have some of the other ones that just feel like extra levels, like dodge these things, kill these enemies, but it's like they aren't like lazy about it. It's not like just kill the enemies and you're done. Like it does feel like an actual level with like a lot of thought put into it. So I think this game has really nailed the level design, and again it really shows that the boost games have still a lot of life to them. It just like they just got to put a lot of effort into the level design, right? And again, like I said, like the main levels were just fantastic. Like I just love whenever Doom messes with the level for a second, so you get transported to another like another stage basically. So like you're doing like Rail Canyon, and then you get like transported to like Radical Highway or some shit. I'm like, that's awesome. Like it does like the Doctor Strange shit and stuff. It just looks really cool. It really feels next gen. Like this feels like like a proper next gen Sonic game to me. Like it just felt so good. And whenever there's like those little in-game cutscenes, like when they're playing the Sonic Forces level and Shadow's dodging all like the Death Egg robot stuff, I'm like, this is awesome, bro. Like they really nailed the presentation and the cool factor of Shadow. And I think that's where it really counts a lot. Like, I think if everything else was good, but the level design was like mid, I think the whole game would have been kind of put down from it. But again, these are some of the best levels I think they made since Generations. So definitely like applauding Sonic team for that, because they really killed it with the level design in this game.
Yeah, and they might even be better than the base game, honestly.
They might be. Yeah, like I was playing some of the 3D Sonic levels, and they're still amazing. But like I'm like, damn, the Shadow ones really stepped it up. So
yeah, every single level being like a couple minutes long, and then having multiple different pathways. The collectibles also just feeling very much like, I know that the red rings also unlock like artwork or whatever, but like I feel like the collectibles within Sonic or Shadow Generations is a lot more rewarding, because it also unlocks like soundtrack pieces and also bits of like Shadow's history or whatever. So, and also you have to go out of your way within the white space to find them. So it also makes it more fun to do it that way. Some people might say that it's tedious or annoying to also do that on top of it, but I don't know. I think that it just adds more playtime to it, and it'll allow you to just appreciate and enjoy this game for what it is. But yeah, Shadow Generation is like by far like the best Sonic game that we've had in years. Not to say that Sonic Frontiers was bad or anything, but a lot of the games within the past like 5 years or so, they've been like, oh, okay, either it's bad or it's like, oh, okay, like this is like a good step in the right direction. We've been hearing that for years and years and years, and this is like the first Sonic game that I think a lot of fans and even general gamers can say that like, yeah, this is a good fucking video game. Like that's it. Like just bottom line, this is a great ass video game, even though it is attached to Sonic Generations. This is for $50 right here. I think that $50 just for this game by itself, I think is worth it. But you're also getting Sonic goddamn Generations. Like one of the best Sonic games people will hail for years and years and years. And yeah, you get both of them in one package. I think that's great.
Yeah, and I think you get a lot of value. Like, even though the base game is like pretty short, like most Sonic games are, like five-ish hours, there's a lot of replay value. Like, I still want to, I want to try to get the platinum trophy for this, because, I really like it. There's a lot to do. Like the white space is just like Frontiers, where there's a ton of activities to do, a lot of mini platforming challenges to do, little races you could do. Like I think the white space is like very enjoyable in this game. I mean, I really like the open zones in Sonic Frontiers, but again, I think this game is even a bit better just because of the lack. It feels more polished. There's not as much popping everywhere. You know exactly what each like little area is going to give you and stuff. Shadow just has a better degree of movement with, he could use his wings by the end of it. He could use all the other different abilities he has. So I feel like the white space feels very fun to explore, and just opening up all the little chests and stuff has been very addicting as well. I've been really enjoying the white space in this game a lot. Plus, I think you also have like a hard mode you can activate too. So there's like a ton of replay value just in Shadow Generations alone. Plus, you got Sonic Generations, which is crazy. So yeah, like I think the white space like is great in this game as well. Like I think everything about this package has been like, it doesn't feel half-assed. Like it feels like they put all the effort into the level design, and they put a lot of effort into refining the open zone concept from Sonic Frontiers. So it makes me very excited to see what they do with Frontiers 2, like how the open zones will evolve, because this game has been doing a great job of learning what worked and what didn't work from Sonic Frontiers. Like a lot of those like stupid little mini game ones, like jump the rope or whatever, like none of those in there. Like a lot of these like mini challenges are just straight platforming challenges, which what it probably should be, right? Like having those little like jump the rope things or the little puzzles, like I felt like those never really fitted Sonic, to be honest. I wouldn't mind some more combat stuff. Like I think combat will actually work pretty well with Shadow, because he's more like hands-on anyway. But for what it is, I think they did a great job with the open, like the whole white space zone in this game. So really enjoyed that a lot, that aspect of the game too.
Yeah, and I guess I should talk about the Doom powers, because I kind of skipped over that. But yeah, the Doom powers are great. I think that is like such a fantastic and weird addition to the game, where like at first it was like, yo, what the hell's going on? Shadow has wings. And now it kind of all makes sense in the context of the story. I think I know which power you were talking about with the Doom Morph.
Doom Morph? Yeah, Doom Morph, yeah.
That one was definitely a little finicky to use, especially when I was trying to get the collectibles. I think in like one of the second acts or whatever, I was like, I cannot get this. I'm gonna just try to get to the end or whatever. Yeah. I think it was one of the challenges actually, but anyways.
It has, yeah, the Doom Morph just has a lot of things it doesn't tell you. Like, if you just press the action button, you like zip line to the orb or whatever, so that's fine. If you hold it, you do the swinging thing. And if you hold a button, but you swing, but at the bottom of the swing, if you let go, you shoot straight up. So it has like, it has like 3 functions, but like the game, I feel, doesn't really tell you that. So once you learn that, it's fine, but it still feels a bit clunky. It's like probably the only clunky power in the game. Besides that, the Doom Wings are super fun to use. You know, you have like a Chaos Sphere gets like upgraded. I think, you got like the little punchy punch thing that you could shoot enemies at or whatever. Like, like Shadow would just launch an enemy and stuff. That's fun. So yeah, I feel like a lot of Doom powers fit the gameplay really well. And besides Doom Morph is like the only one that feels a bit clunky, but the rest of them do feel pretty well thought out. So I guess the other thing we could mention is the boss fights. Like I thought the boss fights were a lot of fun as well. BioLizard, you know, I saw a lot of that in the previews and stuff, so that was a fun fight. You know, it played a lot like the original BioLizard fight, but then in the second half, it like sprouts wings and shit. It starts doing some other crazy shit. But I thought the next 2 fights were even better. Like the Metal Sonic fight was a lot of fun when you fight Metal Overlord. Like you're in like your little surf thing and you like shoot the things at him, you punch him in the face. That was a lot of fun. I really like the dialogue between like Metal Sonic and Mephiles that you fight later. Like, you know, they're like, you know, Metal Sonic's just talking a lot of shit about you, like you're a faker, you're not the real Sonic, but like neither are you, bro. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of spectacle to that fight. And the Mephiles fight was like awesome. Like I thought the Mephiles fight was really good. Just the fact that they respected 06's story by Shadow not even remembering who he was, because technically 06 never happened, because that was the whole point of the game. Yeah. So having Mephiles just be like, what the fuck? You don't remember me. I just want to exist, bro. Like the delivery of all Mephiles lines are great. Like, and just like the fight in general, like taking that fight from 06 when he's has always like shadow clones everywhere and shit. It was just awesome. The Mephiles fight was amazing. So
yeah, the boss fights, I honestly have no complaints about them. They are just big spectacles every single time. And, you know, obviously the boss fight patterns are, you know, very easy to sort of figure out, but, you know, it's just all about sort of just having fun with it. The final boss with the, I guess like Neo freaking
Devil Doom.
Yeah, Devil Doom. I was like, what the hell is going on here? That whole just like last section of the game was actually kind of hard. I was definitely having trouble going through those first 2 acts and then getting to that final boss. But
the final levels were like actually like hard. I was like dying a lot. So I can imagine. I heard getting the S rank on them is like pretty hard too. So I've been reading that a lot on Twitter. But I think the end game was really good. Like again, I think Radical Highway was really fun. Like those last 2 levels, and Devil Doom was like a really fun fight too. Like you fight him like as just Devil Doom, and then like you sprout your wings, and then you fight like Neo Devil Doom and shit.
It's kind of like a super form fight, because the rings are always taken away, so you're kind of on that timer.
You're basically Super Shadow, but you're not Super Shadow. So yeah, same deal. So.
But yeah, you know, Shadow Generations is great, fantastic. We love it. I guess we'll just move on from there.
Yeah, basically, I do think it's like the best Sonic game since Generations. It's very good, which is funny because it's Generations. But, whatever.
All right, so we'll talk about the first piece of news, which is pretty big. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is arriving on PC January 2025. To be exact, January 30th, so pretty much towards the end of the month. It is in collaboration with the Nexus Software. Once again, they ported over the other 2 Spider-Man games and several other PlayStation Studios games. It is coming with all of the post-launch content, so like New Game Plus, Symbiote Styles, etc. There is a digital deluxe edition, so if you want to get sort of those extra suits, those extra skill points, you can. It will be available on Steam and the Epic Game Store. And the biggest news to come out of this is that they have confirmed that there is no additional story content planned for Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So yeah, you know, everyone, ever since the Insomniac leak, have been clamoring because they saw those documents of like Spider-Man 2 DLC, and they've been asking Insomniac, when is it coming out? When is it happening? And I guess they just scrapped it all or whatever, and now it is not happening. I think that makes sense, especially if they are going to port it to PC. They don't want to port a game that isn't necessarily complete, that will later get more content. So they're like, okay, yeah, I guess we're just done with the game. You know, they don't want to make any more DLC for it or whatever the case is. You know, whatever we saw within those files, it could have been scrapped. It could have been, sort of dusted way before the hackers got their hands on it and dumped it online. So we don't know what happened to that stuff unless a Insomniac employee themselves comes out, which we probably won't hear for another 5 to 10 years from now. But yeah, I definitely came out with a video that said that I was fine with it. I was happy with it, honestly, just because I was kind of tired of seeing Spider-Man Twitter and sort of fans clamoring for this DLC that was never promised, never said from Insomniac officially, but they just kept asking for it. And you know what? I get it. I understand. You fucking love this game. You only play Spider-Man and you're waiting for them to give you more content. But at the same time, it's like, guys, like, they finished the game. This is the product that they came out with. I know it feels incomplete. I know it feels like that there was a lot of stuff that they could have explored more, but this is another thing. I feel like Sony pressured Insomniac Games to release the game in the state that it was without much leeway of like a delay. Like they sort of pressured them to, all right, it has to come out October 20th, 2023, or else we're fucked. Because like Sony had no other game to release that holiday, and Spider-Man 2 was already coming out with PS5s bundled in with it. So it was like, okay, we either have this game or we fucking don't. So, Insomniac was like, well, we got to like cut like pretty much the later half of the story, which like they admitted. I think Brian Intihar said within, I forget exactly what it was. I think it was like a podcast thing where he was like, he had a conversation with Sony and, sort of the producers or whatever. And they were like, we gotta cut this shit or whatever, or change it up. And, like that hurt for him, obviously, because like he wants to release the best game possible for the fans because he knows what this franchise means to them. And unfortunately, they came out with a product that obviously fans were fucking hating for like the past 6 months, being like, yeah, Spider-Man 2's dog shit. It's like one of the worst sequels ever. And here they are asking for more content of it. Make it fucking make sense. But, I'm going to stop ranting. Damian, what do you think about this story?
Yeah, so like, the whole Spider-Man 2 thing has always been like really weird. Like we both really enjoyed the game when it came out, but we do feel like the last bit of the game did feel a bit rushed. So it kind of makes, I think everyone had the idea that Sony kind of rushed it out the door a bit because they had fucking nothing. Sony still doesn't have a lot going on with the PS5, and I think Insomniac has been really carrying them this generation. So I do feel like it's a bit unfair to just be like it's strictly Insomniac's fault that any of this happened. And then the leaks happened, and then people knew what they were trying to do. And, people just had expectations that, okay, well, they're going to do this because it was leaked, right? But, plans change. We don't know how early in development or how early like these plans technically were or whatever. Yeah. So, things could change. Nothing's ever set in stone, right? Like that's why they're leaks and not like officially fucking released things, right? So, for me personally, I think if they needed more time for either Wolverine or for Spider-Man 3 or whatever they're doing, I think that's fine. I think they should take the resources from whatever they were doing for Spider-Man 2 or whatever canceled project they had and just put it into Spider-Man 3 to make it the best game it could possibly be, or something else. I don't know. Maybe they have some other Spider-Man thing going on. Maybe they have like a Venom spinoff. I don't fucking know, right?
That's what people are now banking on. They're like, it's probably going towards like the Venom game or whatever. It's like they also haven't announced yet. Like, let's not put our expectations to another basket now that they've confirmed that Spider-Man 2 DLC isn't coming. But I'll stop there.
Yeah. So like we don't know exactly what they're cooking besides Wolverine at this moment, right? Yeah. Like, ever since that leak, things could have changed drastically within Insomniac, right? So like just because you saw like that Omega leak doesn't mean like things are gonna happen that way anymore, right? Like they probably did change plans because of the leak, right? So I do think for me personally, I don't really mind. I really enjoy Spider-Man 2. I had a good time with it. I probably will play the game now. I was kind of waiting for them to release new content if they were going to do that, to do a new playthrough. Yeah. But I probably now would just do a new playthrough just for shits and giggles at some point. But, whatever resources they need, because, games are bigger now. Like, Spider-Man 2 costs a shit ton of money. It costs a lot of time to make. So, they probably more than Spider-Man PS4 did to make. So, they probably need this extra development time, either for Wolverine or for Spider-Man 3, right? So, I say whatever is easier for Insomniac, just do it. Make Spider-Man 3 as best as it could be. Make it so like, maybe like they could get everything they want to get into that game. It's in that game, right? Because I don't know if there's gonna be more Spider-Man games after that point, right? There's probably gonna be a trilogy and that's it. So whatever they need to do to make sure Spider-Man 3 or Wolverine, I don't know, whatever game needs the most resources at the moment, just do that instead, right? So So yeah, personally, it doesn't bother me too much. Would have been cool to get extra content for Spider-Man 2, of course, right? Like I don't think any of us would turn down extra content for a game we like. But them saying like we want to focus on other stuff, I think that's fine too, right? So right now, I think it's fine the way they're going for it. Just let them develop what they gotta do, let them cook, and we'll see what they do. I do want another Ratchet game though. So
Yeah, just let Insomniac breathe. I think I've said this before, where it's like them taking on the Spider-Man IP has been a blessing and a curse for them, because obviously they know what they're doing, they know what it takes to make a good game, but also now they have the Spider-Man fans on them, now they have Sony on their ass to sort of make these games as best as possible, because they are exclusive to PlayStation on console, and when they do go to PC, that's just another outlet for them to bring more audiences into the sort of PlayStation ecosystem or whatever. But yeah, no DLC. I never expected DLC for the game. Obviously, if it happened, it happened. I would have loved to see, like within the leaks or whatever, more Carnage stuff, more Chameleon stuff, whatever the fuck, because obviously, they had those side missions more expanded because they wanted it to be better than the first game, but also potentially to leave the door open for more stuff down the road, which, people were expecting DLC. And now that it's not coming, I'm assuming that either it's going to lead into Spider-Man 3, or maybe they'll do a Spider-Man Miles Morales 2. Who the fuck knows, because obviously no one knew about a Spider-Man Miles Morales game coming out. And then they were like, hey, yeah, it's launching with the PlayStation 5 and everything. And now you get to see the cool SSD stuff, instant loading and all that cool nonsense. But yeah, no Spider-Man DLC. I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it. I'm still not standing down, even though the comments think that I'm fucking coping or whatever. I'm not coping. I never expected DLC for the game. And I think now it is nice for Insomniac to finally fucking put a rest to that and be like, we had nothing announced, so stop fucking asking. So yeah.
I think it's better just to like have the answer than like keep expecting it, right? Like if having this official confirmation is like, okay, now we can stop like just speculating and just like kind of focus on what's next for Spider-Man and for just Insomniac as a whole, right? And right now they probably are all hands on deck on Wolverine at the moment, so I guess we'll just wait for that game to like get more stuff to actually come out now, right? So but yeah, no more guessing, no more like when is this certain thing gonna come out? Like it doesn't matter anymore. So we could just move on and just wait for Spider-Man 3. So yeah. All right, so next we got Bandai Namco has canceled several games in development as the company reduces staff. So games like this are like the One Piece, Naruto stuff. There was one game that was by Nintendo, or commissioned by Nintendo rather. So that could have been like a Dynasty Warriors thing, which would make me a little sad. I think they do that. But either way, it's kind of ironic because, this was like right after Sparking Zero. So like 3 bajillion Dragon Ball copies, right? So it kind of does come up as like kind of a weird thing. But I know Bandai Namco has been in a lot of trouble lately. Like, yeah, they publish like, Elden Ring, which sold like a shit ton of copies. Dragon Ball sold a shit ton. But I know all the other anime games have been eating shit because, they're kind of mid and not very good. Yeah. I know like the Jujutsu Kaisen one was like a big one. Like this is shit, right?
Every My Hero game.
Every My Hero game as well. I think they also had an MMO failed very badly called Blue Protocol, and that cost them a shit ton of money. That floundered very recently, so that's probably why they're cutting back on a lot of costs right now. But again, it's always shit to see when things are like, we just made a thing that made $1 bajillion. Now we're gonna like lay off people, right? Like it always feels like very like tone deaf because like you just want more money, right? So even though I heard Japan doesn't like actually lay off people, I heard they just put them in a room and just kind of wait until they fucking leave because that's what they've been saying. So they have better laws than us dealing with that stuff, but hopefully people could keep their jobs. Hopefully they can move them to other projects in the works or whatever. But I do think it is a good idea for them to reduce the amount of games they do. Obviously not cutting the staff. I think that's dumb. But I do think reducing the amount of like shitty games they make is probably for the best, or make them better, right? Like make a good One Piece game or make a good Naruto game. Like I think they made a recent Ninja Storm game that was just kind of whatever. A lot of the One Piece games have been just kind of mid, like they're just fine. The Demon Slayer ones have been pretty bad, I've been hearing. So like just like, make them good. Make them like Sparking Zero, right? Make them like the culmination of what people want from that franchise, right? Like make a good Ninja Storm game again, like just go crazy with it. If you make a good game, you're going to see that people are going to buy it by the millions, right? So I'm sure if they make another good Naruto game or a really good One Piece game, like people will like just buy it because it's good and it's One Piece or Naruto, right? So just make them good.
timing is amazing. The timing is so
Yeah.
bizarre where it's like, okay, yeah, Sparking Zero did so well. This game was going to sell these millions of copies because people have been wanting a Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4 for years and years and years. And obviously when you have a franchise like Dragon Ball Z, it's going to do that. And now where it's like, they're cutting, staff, it's like, okay, yeah, like that is bizarre timing. Definitely not exactly good, obviously. I'm trying to find the words here, but yeah, just them making really poor decisions after poor decisions is not going to lead to a happy ending, unfortunately. I wish that the success of Sparky Zero was able to save these other projects, especially the one with Nintendo. I think that would have been interesting to see, whatever that was, whether it was like another Dynasty Warriors like game or whatever the case was. But yeah, it just sucks to see that more people are getting laid off, especially when, you see that your company just had a real big success, and, it might save you guys from floundering in terms of like whatever projects that they were working on under One Piece, Naruto, etc. So yeah, hopefully Bandai Namco are able to pick up the slack and sort of, rethink exactly what they're doing with their games, because, people will obviously, go to a game and buy it if it's very, very good, aka Sparking Zero. But, other anime games have been floundering as of late, like pretty much every single My Hero game. The Demon Slayer games have been on and off. And, the recent Naruto games have been hit or miss, is what I will say. So, just hopefully that Bandai Namco are able to pick themselves back up and sort of, recover from this and not exactly bleed more staff, because obviously people losing jobs like this is never good.
Nope.
Okay, so God of War Amazon Prime series is reportedly starting all over again, as a couple of executive producers have left. So, yeah, obviously with the success of The Last of Us and sort of seeing what probably the biggest PlayStation franchise could do when it moves into a TV setting, now you have Sony Pictures and Amazon trying to make their own series, just with the recent God of War games from 2018. And now you got a couple of people leaving, and now it looks like that they kind of have to start all over from scratch. So hopefully this means that the project will be better, because obviously just starting all over is never a good thing, because that means you just wasted time, money, and sort of resources trying to get to where you were before. But obviously that doesn't necessarily mean that the product that they initially started off was good. It might have actually been a good thing that they are starting all over again. So yeah, as a person that is sort of, okay in terms of with the recent iterations of Kratos and sort of that version of God of War, I could see why they are trying to make a television series of it, because, it's like a father-son thing. It's pretty much just like with The Last of Us, just with Kratos and sort of with mythical monsters and all of this other stuff. So yeah, I mean, I hope that Amazon is able to, find people that are able to make this project work, because it obviously can bring gaming and also just like the God of War franchise up another sort of level.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the Norse Saga fits like a TV show format better, just because like, there's more talking and Kratos isn't as like
angry,
bloodthirsty the whole time, or angry. So like, it makes sense. I do wonder how like general audiences would like feel about it. Just in terms of like being confused or whatever. Like, you don't really have to know a whole lot about the original games to understand the Norse Saga, but it still is kind of weird. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it got totally like shafted, and now we're starting over. So I guess we'll see. I mean, it's probably a good thing, because that probably means the original version was pretty shit. So hopefully they can make it really good. I can't imagine this being cheap though.
Yes.
I'm not like The Last of Us isn't cheap either, but at least it's like more like, I guess, like grounded in reality. This is all like mythical shit, right? Like there's gonna be a lot of CGI for this shit. So I do wonder how expensive this show is gonna end up being by the end of the day, because we're up to the point where TV show episodes cost as much as like a fucking movie now, right? So like I do wonder how like explosive the budget has to be for something like this to make it like really effective, right? So again, if this fails, doesn't really bother me. I still got the games, it doesn't really matter. But I do wonder how general audiences would how it would appeal to general audiences once it actually does come out, and hopefully it's good, right? Like I always want these things to actually be good and not be like shit. Like there's always a good deal. So hopefully it could be good. Again, we are living in a time where video game adaptations actually are good now. So just gotta keep up the pace and hope it's good. So, but I guess we'll see once it actually does come out. But yeah, it kind of sucks that it did get absolutely canned. So or it could be a good thing. I don't know. But either way, we're not gonna see this for a very long time. So. Yeah. All right, so next we got Daredevil Born Again is premiering on Disney Plus on March 4th, 2025. So it's finally coming out. You know, this is why I've been watching the whole series. It's coming out at a perfect time too. I should be able to finish the rest of the series by then. So very excited for that. You know, like I've said, you know, I've been doing my rewatch, or I guess my watches officially here on the podcast, and I have nothing but good things to say about Daredevil, both season 1 and 2. They've been fantastic. Probably some of the best superhero television that there's been. It's been very fucking good. I'm really excited to watch, you know, well, I need to get through Defenders. Then I can watch, you know, season 3, which is, you know, peak. So
yes.
As I've heard. So I'm very excited for that. I'm excited to see how his journey continues on in the MCU canon now. So yeah.
Yeah, I just love seeing Kevin Feige just champion Charlie Fox and Vincent D'Onofrio just across these conventions and sort of having them talk about the series over and over again, because yeah, this is a show that people should get excited for. This is going to be something that is very new and unique for the MCU as a whole. You know, the fact that they are bringing something from the Netflix canon into the MCU is going to be fucking amazing and awesome. And, you know, this is one of those shows that, you know, they scrapped everything because Kevin Feige watched it and it was like, this is ass. We got to fucking start over, guys. So, and now they're like, okay, let's just embrace like what happened before, because obviously starting from scratch is going to be a lot harder. And then just taking stuff that worked before and then just reworking it and retooling it and just, you know, adding to it, I think is going to have a product that people will be very excited for. And, you know, they continuously talk about how dark the show is. They say the show might even go darker compared to what the previous series did. And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I will believe it when I see it, kind of thing. I just want them to release the fucking trailer online in HD on their YouTube channels or whatever, because, you know, that trailer, when it leaked online, it got millions of views compared to Agatha, you know, which we will talk about next podcast once that show finally ends. We've said nothing but good things about that show, but this show, Daredevil, is obviously a lot more hyped and people are getting a lot more excited for it because it is Daredevil. And obviously I think March 4th, I think that is a Tuesday and compared to like the normal Wednesday times. So that'll be kind of interesting. It's going to be a new sort of format scheduling that they're doing. We don't know if it's going to be week by week. I would be surprised if they drop it all at once. I think that would be pretty dumb for me personally, because I think that doing television shows, even if it is on streaming week by week, is a great thing because the conversation keeps going. People are able to talk about it. People don't have to feel pressured to just like sit down and watch like 8 to 9 hours of television all in one sitting. You know, people got fucking jobs now, right? Like people got other shit to do. So, you know, I hope that when it does premiere that we get like 2 episodes at launch and then we just get the week by week.
Love doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, they might do the 2 episodes at launch.
2 episodes at launch. Even if the first episode is like a banger, just give me that second episode right away so people can keep the train going and keep that excitement alive. Yeah.
I do agree that I think weekly TV has been probably more healthy than the binging aspect of it nowadays.
Yeah. All right, so some other MCU news. We got Marvel's Blade has been delayed indefinitely. This is Mahershala Ali's version of the character. As we know, as everyone fucking knows, it's like Hollywood's worst kept secret ever. This movie has been going through development hell after development hell. Directors leaving, scripts being rewritten over and over again. We don't know what the hell is going on with this movie. And the fact that they got a Academy Award winner, 2-time by the way, to be the star of this film and they have no idea what the hell to do with it is kind of crazy. And now that it is delayed indefinitely, I think that alleviates a lot of the pressure on the people working on it to be like, okay, yeah, like now we don't have to sort of think about like a timeline. We just have to think about like we just got to get it done. And then once it's done, we can start working on it, kind of thing. And I think that is a very, a much healthier way of like looking at projects. Because obviously like deadlines are good, because I think deadlines make it so you are forcing your hand to make sure that you get it done. But also at the same time, you know, you are able to now take your time and not sort of feel the pressure of, you know, having to like get it right and get it like exactly how you want it. Or sort of you can't get it exactly how you want it, but also don't be like too much of a perfectionist or whatever kind of thing. But yeah, you know, I think a lot of people are sort of scratching their heads and asking what the fuck is Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige doing, because it really is just like a fucking vampire movie where he just goes around and kills, you know, fucking vampires or whatever. Like, how hard is it? So, you know, hopefully whenever we get better news for this movie, it is actually good news and we actually get like some like nice and concrete stuff about it.
Yeah, it's just been rough for anyone that wanted a Blade movie because it's been delayed so many fucking times, bro. Like, I really do hope to just get their heads together. I do feel like this happens on Marvel sometimes where they just kept delaying movies because it just can't. Probably because the production cycle is just like so fast. Like oh, we need this movie for this like specific like time frame. It was kind of like Black Widow, right? When Black Widow kept getting delayed, and it's just like why? Just like release it. But it's probably like they wanted to fit into a certain like era in the MCU, but then they kept delaying it. So by the time it came out, it felt very out of place. So I don't know if the same thing's gonna happen to Blade or whatever. But again, all I hope for is the movie's like good. I don't really care too much about the overall MCU like timeline as much as long as the movie is fucking good, right? Like if the movie is good and you can make it, you could work around it and fit it into the rest of the MCU. Like it's fine. I just kind of want just a good movie, right? So hopefully it could deliver that. Delays, when it's been delayed this long, it does raise a lot of concern, but hopefully get the act together. The fact that there's no, like, it's been indefinitely delayed, hopefully it gives them enough time, like you said, to really fix up the movie and make it something worthwhile. I think Blade's been on a lot of people's conscience again because of, one, Deadpool, and two, like the new game coming out. So it's probably like they wanted Blade to kind of be a thing again. So it'd be cool to see him actually come back with the movie, but unfortunately that ain't gonna happen for a little bit. So hopefully they could cook and make it good, but I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so last bit of MCU news and news in general is Tom Holland has confirmed Spider-Man 4 is happening. It's going to be filming next summer. He's excited about the script and what it would tell. He has been having some disagreements with the Sony versus Marvel direction, so we don't know if that means like, Sony being like assholes about it and being like, we want like our bullshit stuff in it, or maybe Marvel wants some different stuff going on. Like you said before, we were talking about in the podcast, Tom Holland has a lot more say in what Spider-Man could do now and like what he wants from the character. And I think, Kevin Feige would really respect that, his input on the character. So I do hope, because, last time we heard it's supposed to be a multiverse story again. But I don't know if that's for sure locked in or what's going to be happening. We still don't know yet. But I'm really hoping they're fighting for a more grounded level story. I kind of hoped Daredevil will come out a bit earlier so they could have seen the fan reaction to that and be like, yeah, we want something like ground level, with like Daredevil and Spider-Man fighting it out and stuff, like I said before. That would be really sick. But, I don't know if they want to just do another repeat of a multiverse story. Like, I think it worked well in No Way Home just because it felt like a culmination of both Tom Holland Spider-Man and just Spider-Man movies in general. It felt like a really nice love letter to that. And I feel like that's not something you could just recreate again for a long time. And it's just going to feel like cash grabby, right? It's like, oh, here's Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire again, right? Like that just feels very like we did that. Like it's not like you lost the magic at that point. Like I'd love to see them and maybe their own stuff if they want to come back, but having them come back again after that, it just feels very weird, right? So I'm really against the idea of having another multiverse movie, but that's just my piece on it. I really hope to do ground level stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Holland confirming that, yeah, Spider-Man 4 is happening. They are going to start filming next summer. I think that is pretty exciting, obviously. The fact that, what's it called? He was on the Rick Roll podcast, which I did not watch, but I saw the many clips that people were posting online, sort of him talking about working on the Spider-Man films and sort of what that meant for him. He did allude to sort of some disagreements between Marvel and Sony and sort of like what it means to now be Spider-Man for as long as he has. And he's like, yeah, I have this responsibility to this character and I am able to have more say compared to like when he was starting with like, Civil War, Homecoming, all that stuff, stuff kind of just happened and he was just like, all right, yeah, sure. Like he just went along with it. But now that he has like control over the character, he knows what that means and sort of what he wants for Spider-Man 4, and he doesn't want to just do it again just to do it again, because if that was the case, it probably would have came out already, because obviously he's not stupid. He knows how much money these goddamn movies make, and for the ending of No Way Home to be that, he's like legit like alone, like he has no one. He doesn't have Ned, he doesn't have MJ, he doesn't have fucking Aunt May. Like legit everyone around him is like not in his life anymore. And on top of that, no one knows who Peter Parker is. Like legit no one knows who that person is. So now he's isolated, alone, and I'm excited to see what that story. There's so much potential within that story. Obviously, sort of inserting Daredevil in there, like that is like the easiest thing to do. But I think within the podcast, he also said that like when you are part of like the MCU Marvel machine, he understands that like things have to connect and things have to have like a certain place or whatever. And I believe that Spider-Man 4 is going to come out in between the Avengers movies. So, you know, if we do get like that multiverse bullshit movie again, you know, I think that if it's being done like that and it's inserted in between the Avengers stuff, I think it'll make sense. Obviously, I don't fucking want that. But, you know, any excuse to see Andrew Garfield again, shit, I'm all in. But, you know, obviously, I hope after that, you know, Kevin Feige and Tom Holland are able to get their way and they're able to expand the sort of street level Spider-Man MCU stuff. Because obviously everyone wants to see him and Charlie Cox team up and sort of have that sort of Spider-Man Daredevil on-screen action. Because, you know, that's a very pivotal thing within the comics. And it's always exciting to see Spider-Man show up within Daredevil and sort of vice versa or whatever. So yeah, you know, I hope that, you know, once we finally get, you know, some more concrete details on it, you know, we are excited to see what it will have. Hopefully it's not, you know, a big multiverse sort of bullshit fiesta. But you know, if it is some of that, I think it will be okay. But yeah. You know, I am excited to see Tom Holland take on this role again because he is such a fantastic actor, even though, you know, Twitter loves to fucking dunk on him because they're his biggest hater for whatever goddamn reason. You know, just hating on someone being as successful as he is understandable. But I think that he has a good head on his shoulders and he knows exactly what he wants within his sort of career and sort of his role as Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they go next, like I still really like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So I think like whatever direction he wants to go for the character, I will respect that. And I guess we'll see once we start seeing like more Spider-Man 4 stuff. I'm sure we'll cover it. You know, just like can't wait to go through that clown show that was No Way Home again. But here we go.
Yeah, I mean, like he is the third actor to play him in live action, so I'm sure that he probably had a lot of conversation with Toby and Andrew and sort of like what that meant for them to sort of be in their roles in their shoes and sort of having to deal with sort of like the many, you know, Sony messing around with like Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2, etc., etc. And now he's like, well, I'm going to be the first one to get a fourth movie. I don't want to fuck this up. So, you know, I'm sure he's putting his foot down and all this other stuff, but I digress. Now let's talk about the Penguin. So we are a little late, so we're just going to talk about every single episode that has been released so far. We're going to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't watched it yet, all I could say is that if you were not impressed by the first episode, I understand that. Watch the second episode, and then if you don't like it, then you could drop it. Because I think that the first episode is a great setup, but I think episode 2 really shows you like what the fuck is Penguin doing between the sort of gangs and everything like that, and stuff starts to get down, is what I will say. But Damian, what is your non-spoiler sort of review of it before we get into it?
Yeah, I actually like really liked it. You know, I guess like compared to like I guess I could compare it to Daredevil now as being like another like darker show that deals with a lot of like, you know, like the mobs and stuff. I think this one has a bit more like comic relief, at least like I feel, because Penguin's kind of just like a funny guy. I just can't get over his like voice. I love it. Like he's like, oh, go, you know, he has that very gangster mobster voice and I really like it. And he's pretty funny sometimes. I feel like Daredevil is like a lot more serious a lot of the time. You know, it has its moments of comedy or whatever. But I actually do appreciate like some of like the more funnier bits to it. I really like the characters a lot, but when it does get dark, it does get really dark as well. You know, I'm sure like episode 4 is a big standout on that aspect, but like right now I like really enjoy it. I think the 3 main characters, you know, Oz, Sophia, and Victor, I think they're all like really good characters, especially like Sophia. Like I didn't really like think much of her during like the first bit of it. Like I thought she was good, but I'm like, oh, she's just like, you know, like a psycho lady, whatever. But after learning more about her like backstory and stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, she has a lot more depth to her than I thought. And now she's like one of my favorite characters in the show. Obviously Oz, you know, the Penguin, like he's just a fun character, like I said. And Victor was like a thing I didn't expect this show to even have. Like I didn't expect this show to have like a Joel Ellie like moment where it's like he has like a mentor. Like I did not. I knew nothing about the show, like going into it. Besides, same. Like, you know, it was connected to the Batman universe, right? That's the only thing I knew. So, having that like dynamic was something I did not know that was going to be in the show. So yeah, overall I'm like very impressed with it. I really am enjoying it. And I can't wait to see more of it. Like, I mean, I binged the whole thing in like 2 days, so that kind of says something. I'm like, yeah, I want to see what happens next. So yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just talk about the characters. Victor, off rip, like you said, I did not expect him to be such an important character, but also a really compelling one, because obviously episode 3 is like his episode. And, I watch all of the like little like behind the scenes that they do at the end of each episode. I still have to rewatch episode 1 and 2, like those behind the scenes. But after episode 3, I was like, oh, okay, I want to see them talk about Victor and sort of what it meant to have this episode focused on him and giving him his backstory and having him at this sort of crossroads where he's like, do I go away to California with my girlfriend, or do I stay with Oz and sort of commit to him and sort of be under his leadership? Because he really did sort of, give him, for better or for worse, give him everything that he has right now with like money and sort of, comfort within his life after the tragic shit that happened to him. And, Victor really is the character that I feel like us as the viewers could really self-insert here, because it's like, if we were in his shoes, we would probably be doing what the fuck he's doing, because if any of us were in the Batman universe, we would be like this fucking timid, kid who's like trying to like figure out like, what the fuck am I gonna do after I legit lost everything after the Riddler explosion. But yeah, I just really love these characters, and I think Victor is definitely like a standout, and we'll talk about Sophia in a little bit.
Yeah, I just like how they do connect. It's kind of like the Netflix Marvel stuff, but like they could be more direct about it, where it's like, the Battle of New York happened, but like, they can't really say it too much. Like this one I really like. They showed like the seawall coming down and like all the destruction that the Riddler did, and he just made the lower class of Gotham be even worse, because now their revival weren't doing well, but now you add like the whole flooding and like all their families got destroyed and stuff, and people are just living in like camps now. Like it just really adds to like the wider destruction that the Riddler did cause at the end of the Batman. So I thought that was really cool, and the fact that they could just say it is nice too. They don't really mention Batman too much. Like, I think they mentioned him like once, I think, but like besides that, I think like them mentioning Riddler and like all his big attack was I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a cool way to connect the series together. So yeah, and just having every single episode feel like compelling and actually like worth something. Like obviously episode 4, fucking Sophia's episode, I think that was at the point in the show where like at that point it was showed that like Sophia now knows that fucking Oz killed her brother, which was very much like a big thing where it was like Oz was playing both families. I think that was like such a cool thing to show of like who the Penguin is as a character, where he really is like this fucking rat. Like he really is like just trying to get his way, but also using other people's powers and leveraging that to his advantage. And as soon as it goes wrong, he's like, "I fucking, I'm gonna just start killing people and just like not give a fuck." And I really like that. But also at the same time, we get to see like his sort of sensitive side, where like he has people that he cares about with his mom and sort of Eve or whatever. Yes.
It's just seeing like that side of him as well, where it's like he has these people in his life that he also cares about, but at the same time he's also doing like this fucked up shit, playing these families, and then it all comes to a crashing down at the end of episode 3, leading into Sophia's episode.
Yeah, I think Oz in general, they do a great job with him, because I think this show, he does have a good side to him. Like especially in the first episode when Alberto was like laughing at him, being like, oh, I wanted to be like this good like Robin Hood type like gangster when he was telling that story, and then Alberto was just laughing at him because that's stupid as shit. And then that's why he killed him, which is shit, fucked up. So it does show like I think he does like has like a good heart, but obviously he's doing a bunch of awful things. And I think by the end of the series, he's gonna like totally lose it and become like super bad. But he's like a bad guy, but he has a good heart. Like again, he cares about his mom. He cared enough about Victor to not kill him either. Like he has a sensitive side to him as well. So I think that stuff was really good, and I do like how they play, because obviously he's not like a super villain or anything, so he has no like special powers or whatever. So him weaseling his way around everyone and like playing like double triple agent or whatever with some people, that's very cool to see. Like he has his charisma up to like 10. He's like he's very good at talking his way out of things, and I think that's really cool to see. He can't like, if he gets caught, he can't like Bruce like Bruce forced his way out of it, right? Like he could start a shootout and stuff, but like, you know, he's not really like built for that, right? So it's really cool to see him, they play into that side of him than like him being like, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna go guns blazing. Like it's not like Kingpin, right? Like he could like beat the shit out of him because he's like a big guy. Like Kingpin isn't, Penguin isn't like that. Like he's just a dude, right? So it's really cool to see them play more into that aspect of his character whenever like he has to like do like, I guess like fighting, I guess like that's how he would get past it, right? So
yeah,
I think that's really neat.
And then we got Sophia Falcone. Yeah. She is fucking great in this show. Christine M. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that last name. I've seen her in How I Met Your Mother, but that's about it. I don't really know much about the other stuff that she's been in. But she's fucking great in this show. She is by far the standout performance here. And you know, Damian was like, "Oh my god, she's like crazy or whatever," but I'm like, there's fucking more to her. And obviously episode 4 shows that, where like legit all of the men in her family were just gaslighting the shit out of her, including her dad, where as soon as she found out that like her dad potentially had a hand in like killing her mom, she was like, oh nah, like you are not a good person, like what the fuck is going on here, we'll sort it out, if you will. And he didn't like the way that she was talking, so he was like, you're not well, you're gonna fucking Arkham. And obviously in Arkham, she becomes I guess like the hangman, as they call her, as soon as he pins everything on her. And it's like, okay, yeah, like this shit is crazy. And we could see why she is becoming such a opposing threat. And obviously by the end of episode 4, she kills her whole fucking family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I Sophia's character is like really good. Like I thought episode 4, like I remember hearing on Twitter like people were like praising episode 4 and it got like 9s and shit. So I'm like, oh fuck, I wonder what happens. So yeah, this whole backstory episode about Sophia you know, basically becoming the monster they framed her for, it was really great. Seeing how Arkham works in this universe was really cool as well. You know, they obviously treat you like shit. You know, everyone is like getting bought off by someone. You know, like I said, like it basically makes them into monsters if they weren't already. So like, yeah, just seeing all that shit went down, it being super dark and shit, it was great. Like it was obviously not great for her, but it was like, you know, it was really cool to see how fucked up Arkham could really get in this universe, and how she became basically the family's number one nightmare at that point. So and yeah, she was basically justified in basically doing what she did, to be honest. Like they were all kind of dickheads, so they all really deserved it. I do have she saved the kid though. But yeah, besides that, like, you know, I all those family members definitely deserved it for like doing all that shit to her. So definitely a great character. I'm really looking forward to see how she like kind of goes about the next few episodes, because you know, now she has her own family, like I forgot what she calls her family now, I believe Gigantes or whatever. Yeah, so it's cool to see her basically make her own family and being like, everyone's equal here, so we're gonna fucking take them down with Mr. Krabs. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that I saw him like in Daredevil and now I'm seeing him again. I'm like, bro, I just saw you. So
yes, Clancy Brown knows how to get around.
Yeah, he really does. I'm like, hey, Mr. Krabs. But yeah, overall, I think her character is fantastic. You know, I think in the earlier episodes, she played a good job, again, being like, you know, kind of like a weirdo and like kind of like a psycho, but yeah, there was more to her than, you know, they were laying on. So seeing her whole backstory episode was very great as well. So yeah, very solid character all around.
Yeah, and just like the way, like I said, sort of like the episode structure and how they place these character dedicated episodes. Like I wonder if Oz is going to get his own episode and sort of explain his backstory and what happened between his family and his brothers and all that stuff. Like when is that actually going to happen? And I'm sure they're going to insert it at a good point, just like with the Victor and Sophia episodes, where it leads into something important within their life. Like, for example, with Victor, with that crossroad of him, do I leave or do I stay? And then Sophia with her just like, fuck it, I'm gonna just kill my whole family, fuck it, you know, like whatever. I don't care about these people because they never gave a shit about her. So why should she try to continue their legacy and sort of continue this family? And, you know, the way that she plays everyone, I just fucking love it, and I cannot wait to see how it all evolves here. So,
yeah, and like you said, like in the last episode, we get to see like that darker side of Oz too. You know, him like just burning the other family alive.
That son, really I was like, that is not water. I instantly knew. I was like, that is not water.
So that was really fucked up, and you know, I think it's really showing that Oz is going more into deep end. Like I feel like I mean, he alludes it in, I think it's that episode too. It's like, look, my mom is the only one keeping me sane, bro. So don't let her die. So I definitely feel like once the mom dies, which probably is going to happen, he's going to totally lose it. Same thing with Victor. Like, I think if Victor dies, like, I think he's going to lose like all whatever humanity he has left, and like kind of becomes like this true crime boss at the end of the day that controls Gotham. That's what I think is going to end up happening, because remember, we are seeing this side of him with him burning them alive and him like laughing about it, like that's really fucked up, dude. So yeah, it's really cool to see that side of him and stuff. And obviously with Sophia, she's going more into deep end too. Like she's just like, all right, time to fucking let's go, we gotta kill this fucker. And her killing her whole family too. So yeah, I think like them going at each other in the next few episodes is gonna be like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Also just like, I guess like the dead brother, just having episode 4 also flesh that out to show that like he was legit the only one that believed in her, the only one that was by her side the whole time, which is why when you think about episode 1, while I was watching that episode, I was like, damn, bro, he really fucking killed her brother. And I'm like, now I could see why she's so, obsessive about like finding the killer and all of this other stuff. And that's why it makes that part of the series just that much more fucked up. So yeah, cannot wait to see how the rest of the show ends up. I believe there's 8 episodes in total, so we got 3 more before we close it out. But yeah, I cannot wait to see what else this sort of Batman universe has in story, because Matt Reeves doesn't have a direct hand in it, but I believe he is a executive producer, and he'll sometimes come in during the behind the scenes bits and sort of talk about like what it means for certain characters and all that other stuff. But
yeah, it does make me very excited for the Batman 2 when we eventually get that movie. So very excited for that. Hopefully it doesn't end up like the Joker scene.
Hey, so, look, let them cook. I'm sure they know what the fuck they're doing. But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add, Damian?
No, I think that's about everything.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 149. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.